Pip Pip, welcome to Random Musings.
Ah, I didn't see you there. Please come in and join us for some musings.
We're just going to preface this one by saying neither of us have read JoJo Part 8. Other Brandon has read Part 7. I have not. I actually just finished Part 6 earlier today, so we may not be the best people to speculate about Part 9, but since it was recently announced, I thought, hey, we're JoJo fans on the channel. Why not talk about it a little bit?
In other words, we're all talking out our asses right now about what might be in part 9.
Yes, yes.
Now, I will say I have read like the first somewhere between 10 to 20 chapters of part 8. Not very far. I have a
Oh,
basic idea of what's going on in there, but that's it.
okay, okay.
And even then, who the fuck knows? All I know is that it seems like we have two people fused together as the main character. That's about it.
Oh, and oh, it's Josuke again, but spelled differently, right?
He also has 4 testicles.
Why?
Like I said, he's two people like smashed together is what it seems like.
But it is Josuke Hisha. Uh,
Higashikata, or however the heck you would pronounce it.
okay, yeah, but I think it is spelled differently than Part 4 Josuke's.
I believe so. I should also point out that the person he's fused with, I think, is this world's version of Kira. Because that's about as far as I got in there was them investigating Kira's apartment.
Oh, possible plot twist?
That is my guess. It's those two fused together. I don't know if they ever get unfused. I don't know what caused the fusion. I have no idea what's going on outside of that.
Maybe some Putara earrings?
I mean, not last I checked. All I know is the man really likes his sailor outfit,
uh,
and the stand does not look like it's fused together.
So we had a Jonathan. I mean, we had a yeah, Jonathan Joestar in part 7, right? Johnny,
Johnny Joestar.
and then a Josuke in part 8. So who are you thinking that part 9 will be reminiscent of? More Jolene or Jono?
See, because of the way Part 7 ends, I don't think there's a way to have a Giorno.
Oh.
Unless there's some revelations in Part 8 I'm unaware of, I don't think Dio has any kids. Or, Diego from Part 7.
Hmm.
Um, Therefore, a Giorno version would not exist.
So you.
Not to mention the whole weird, like, idea of is Giorno even a Joestar or a Brando, right? We
Uh huh.
we can't even have that talk because there's no fusion of bodies between Jonathan and Dio.
Oh.
Like, there does not seem to be a way to have a Giorno in here at all.
Hmm. So.
I will preface this actually. There
Okay.
is a potential way, but that involves a lot of what Part Seven's main antagonist stand ability is.
Oh.
Um, yeah. I should also point out, and it's because we had mentioned this before, off camera about like, do we know if the end of Part 6, if that world is the same one that becomes Steel Ball Run or is Steel Ball Run? And the answer is I don't know. Because
Hmm.
here's the interesting bit, and I'm going to spoil you very slightly on the villain's ability for Part 7. He can hop to parallel dimensions, parallel worlds.
And this is the president, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think I'm spoiling that by saying it's the president. It's seems fairly obvious pretty quickly.
Oh, and
Yeah,
what's his name?
his ability involves hopping to parallel worlds, but and here's the interesting bit: the main timeline, quote unquote, or the main world, if you want to look at it this way, the canon world, I guess, is the
Okay.
one that holds the corpse parts. There is only one set that exists.
Huh.
It does not exist in any other parallel world.
President Funny Valentine.
Um,
Huh.
so is this the same exact world? Who knows? I don't even know if part 8 and part 7 line up exactly. Actually, no, I do, because I think you mentioned it at one point to me when you were doing a little bit of research yourself, and said that the corpse parts do turn up in part 8 at one point, or at the very least they're mentioned.
Yeah,
So,
I
so at the very
believe
least, we do know that those two are the same timeline. We don't know about the end of part 6.
I was reading slightly about it like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, right around the time I was first reading it.
I think the antagonists are called like the rock monsters or something like that. And I think they were birthed due to being in proximity to land that was infused with the energy of the corpse parts. Or
I just find it weird. I just find it weird unless, well, not again. From what I remember of part 7, um, it makes sense that the areas around the parts would be fucked up and weird, because that's kind of how they find them. Is that when you find a part, the area it's in is like weirdly set up and fucked up in some way, um, to the point where whatever is around is guarding the actual part. However, at the end of 7, it gets locked away for about 100 years. So you can take a wild guess and say what happened between the end of that time period and when part 8 starts.
and when does part 8 start?
I'm actually not 100% sure what the actual date is.
Hmm.
Let me see here. Na. Set after a devastating 2011 earthquake that rocked Japan.
Okay, so
So it takes place right around. Actually, that would take place at the same time that part 6 would normally take place,
hmm.
or very close to it. Here's one thing I'm curious about.
Okay.
Are we going to get a female JoJo again?
I was I was going to bring that up when we were talking about the whole JoJo versus JOJOLand.
Yeah. Um, I would personally love to see Araki do a female JoJo, and maybe that's in part of my bias in loving Jolene as my favorite.
would
I'd be very curious to see how he handles that.
would you predict? Because for I believe 3, 4, and maybe 5, they all occurred at the same time their starting publication date was. So would you say that part 9 may take place in 2021?
Depends on when Araki starts. Might be 2022. Who knows? Maybe he'll use the pandemic as inspiration.
I was actually going to also bring that up.
That would be an interesting way to take it. Is a pandemic a stand ability? I feel like that might be diminishing it a bit if you did that. I feel like he might definitely take inspiration from that. The only downside is generally when he does this stuff, he goes traveling to try and like get an idea of the area he's going to set the story in, right?
Mhm.
Like he's totally the guy that's been to Egypt or to these other places like India and such, like you saw in part 3, where they were like hopping around to different continents and nations.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to go ahead and take a wild guess and say that he has been to Cape Canaveral in Florida. You know, for part 6. He's probably been across the US to try and get, or at least to places similar to the areas that he depicted in part 7. And obviously probably took reference like pictures from the old time areas. I don't know how well he'd be able to do that this time.
Yeah.
In the case of part 8, I know it's a unique town that I don't think is really connected to anything in particular, much like part 4, where it was set in just a quiet little town. So I'm not even sure where he'd set it.
Oh, and I am wrong here. Just parts 3 and 8 take place in their original publication year.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, because then 5 is taking place in 2001 when it actually started in 95. So we may have a earlier time frame because JOJOLANds took 10 years to do.
It could be. It could be that he doesn't want to jump 10 years ahead. But, it's not like he hasn't done more than that before. Like, I mean, just look at part 1 to part 2. That was a massive time jump.
Yeah.
That was like, what, 15 years, 16 years, somewhere in there?
Between 1 and 2?
Yeah, because you go from Joseph being, I think, conceived to Joseph being like a late teenager, I want to say.
You mean 2 and 3? No.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Okay. Because, like, between episodes 8 and 9, there was a time jump in there, too, right?
He's just announced 9. We don't know the time.
No.
What are you talking about?
Episode 8 and episode 9.
Of
the first season?
I don't remember which episodes are what.
The very end of Phantom Blood? Yeah.
What about it?
Isn't like the very end of Phantom Blood, doesn't that also have a little jump from...
I mean, it does, but I don't think it's that far ahead. Between where, like, Dio is defeated and Jonathan going off on his honeymoon. And then dying.
Yeah, only to find out, oh no, Dio's alive! And
I think it's only a couple of years. I don't think it's that far ahead.
And he has a second coffin!
Of course he does. You could also say part 2 and part 3. There's a decent jump there, because Joseph goes into being an old man. Like, I think it's almost 30 years there.
Yeah.
But that said, that's also in the past, and Araki would have a good idea as far as technology's advancement there, unless he wants to get fancy. And start being like Toriyama and pulling off designs like that.
That would be interesting.
It never seemed to be a strong point, though, is like the technological aspects of things. He always seemed to me to be more of a very organic person when it comes to his art. The technology doesn't seem to fascinate him as much as just drawing people in poses. Whereas Toriyama puts a hell of a lot of detail, especially in his original, like original Dragon Ball stuff, into the technology of the world.
So it seemed that, for the most part, characters in part 1 had either normal names or music-inspired names. Part 2 seemed to be more normal and music-inspired names. Same with part 3. Then in part 4, part 3 had a lot of music-inspired names. Part 4 had everyday Japanese people names. Part 5 had food, I believe. Part 6 had fashion designer names. Part 7, did that go back to normal names, or did they have a naming convention with part 7?
I'm not 100% sure when it comes to the human characters. You're still obviously sticking with the musical names for the stands.
Of course.
I'm not really sure. It's none that I noticed. A lot of them seemed. I'm not 100% sure. I'll be honest.
Because I was just thinking, would number 9 have a naming convention to their characters?
There might very well be. I mean, like I said, I don't remember for certain with part 7 because it has been a little while since I've read that, like a year or so.
Okay.
But even then, there's a good chance I might not even realize what the convention is, even if I do remember the names.
Right, right.
Part 8, it kind of seems to mirror part 4
Mm.
at the very least, from what little I've read.
Okay, so just standard Japanese names.
It seems that way.
Okay. Um, do you think, well, okay, wait, no. Alternate Dimensions really doesn't deal with time in any way, but it does deal with, like, time and space. So, do you think the main antagonist of Part 9, or whoever that turns out to be, will have some kind of time and space stand?
It was definitely not a time thing because the parallel dimensions were more or less having the same things happen at the same time. Um,
Well, he did have time acceleration in the beginning.
I was talking about part 7.
Oh, okay.
Um, I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know enough, which is why I was a bit hesitant to even try and do this whole massive spitball that we're performing right now.
Dio had stopping time. Kira had rewinding time.
Mm,
Kind of.
Kira's a weird one. I don't know if I would. I don't even know if I would call it rewinding time. It's like a loop.
So that also deals with more time space
But even
than
even
time.
even then though, right, it only worked on one person. Like there was one person that was the target of the ability, and it would like loop itself then. um and it was only at the last minute that he got that ability. It wasn't even one he started with. Same with Poochie, actually. Both of them got that ability of theirs late to fuck with time.
Hmm. So would you say like the final pinnacle of their stand might be time space dimension related?
See, the real question comes in as, do the corpse parts play a role? Because that changes everything massively. Like, that shit. I didn't even tell. The corpse parts themselves have a stand. And that shit's crazy.
So you could have a stand, um, get a corpse part, and oh, Maximilian Pegasus, the corpse eye, into your eye, then you have a second stand?
No.
Oh.
When I say it has a stand, I mean you have to assemble the entire corpse.
Oh.
On their own, they just kind of beef up your own stand
Oh.
to one degree or another.
So Jesus had a stand.
Yes, he did. How do you think he performed miracles?
Oh, so we're to assume Jesus' miracles were used by his stand.
That's my assumption. Until I get more information, that is my assumption.
Ah, because, and I'm only saying part 9 will deal with the corpse parts because JoJo, and I think I saw this on Reddit like a year and a half ago, that JoJo seems to be trilogies. We have the Stone Mask Dio trilogy, then we have the Stan Arrow trilogy, and people are saying this might be the corpse part trilogy.
Yes, but you've read part 6. The stand arrow doesn't play much of a part in part 6 outside of giving some people stands. Like, it doesn't play a major role in this like it did in part 5.
Theo wasn't a major part in part 2.
No, but he was the first step in understanding what the Pillar Men were. He was a key in understanding how it existed and where it came from.
Okay.
Because remember, vampires were just food for the Pillar Men. They were cattle.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure how heavily the corpse parts will be in part 9.
I'll be honest with you. Here's the thing. I don't know what the full corpse does if a person with a stand puts it in their body.
Part 9 Antagonist!
I will say, again, don't know exactly who Part 8's antagonist is. Part 7's antagonist is pretty fucking good. Valentine is a very good villain. And there's a reason I really like Poochie, and he's still at the moment my favorite. The guy that believes so much in his own righteousness and the fact that he thinks what he's doing is good for everyone is a trope I love.
And even though I use the person's name as a verb, is that basically what they do? They like shove the corpse eye into their eye socket?
It kind of melds with the part, like it becomes part of their eye.
Okay.
Until somebody else decides to like pop it out.
Oh yeah.
Which I believe only a stand user can do.
And didn't Pegasus lose an eye?
Yes. I believe he had to like take his own eye out or lose an eye and then replace it with the Millennium Eye.
Okay, since it's been quite some time I saw season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh!
I'm pretty sure he loses an eye to put that in there. Again, whether or not that's from a prior accident or if that's something that he did to then replace it for the Millennium Eye, I'm not sure. But yes, the corpse parts kind of just meld into your body into the place where they would be appropriate, right? So an eye for an eye, a pelvis for a pelvis, etc., etc. And just kind of melds into you like a ghost almost.
And I was just thinking of good stands, and I was thinking, before I knew Poochie's gravitational ability, I was just thinking a kind of gravitational stand that could affect you and the people around you, like make you very heavy or you very light, kind of like Echoes.
I want to say there's a little bit of something similar to that in part 7.
Okay.
No, I was saying that's right. I wasn't quite finished with the statement on the villains.
I'm sorry.
So even Valentine does that. Granted, it's a slightly smaller scale than Poochie. Poochie's kind of like humankind as a whole, whereas Valentine's kind of like the USA. So it's a bit smaller scale, but yeah, he wants the parts to essentially just make America a great nation. To use the corpse to make America a nation that would be just constantly profiting or, becoming better and better. Hence why you have an entire race based around A, finding it, and B, the winner taking the corpse back to their country.
Interesting.
Like, it's not announced that, yeah, we're going to find corpse parts to, like, everyone listening. It's just a side thing that some of the characters are aware of or become aware of as the race goes on.
And is there a prize to the Steel Ball Gun?
There are technically 2 prizes that the global population is aware of. One is obviously prize money. And depending on certain checkpoints, I believe you get like a preliminary amount of money, and I believe it's also point-based. Like after certain checkpoints, you get a certain amount of points and such. There's a first, second, and third place, and I think the prelim race also gives like a small bit of prize money at the start. As for the secondary prize, it is the glory of your nation. Because you might be coming from Italy, and if you win on American soil, oh boy, does that make America look bad.
Yeah.
And boy, does Italy look good for having someone like this. Because it is very much an international thing.
Would you say in part 9, Iraqi will injure another dog?
He's gonna injure something. Like,
does Iraqi not like dogs is the trope?
I believe the trope is the only way Araki knows to show you that a villain is evil is to have them harm an innocent creature.
Oh.
And dogs just tend to be the first choice that comes into his mind because everyone loves dogs. Oh, by the way, I did forget to ask you this off camera. How did you like Anasui's ring situation?
Yes!
just slips it on her finger while she's sleeping. She then wakes up and throws it at an alligator without even realizing what it was.
Poor Anasui.
He's just literally that last panel is him like holding her hand like, what did you just throw? And he's crying. Like, I know this guy's a stone cold murderer, but holy shit do I feel bad for him in this moment.
Yeah. So we're guessing that part 9 may have a female protagonist.
I would like to think so. I think it's been long enough that Araki might be willing to give it a shot again and see how he feels about it.
What about a female antagonist?
That'd be interesting too. I would take either one.
And
But given how much of a runaround I heard part 8 is as far as the main antagonist goes, who the hell knows?
And I was just thinking up a stand name for my gravitational stand. The American version of it will be called Martian Spider. The real name from it, Spiders from Mars.
I don't even know that thing.
I think it's a David Bowie reference.
Ah.
Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars.
I know Stardust. I didn't realize there was a second part of that.
Ooh, to complete the reference, the user could be named Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, there you go.
Ooh. So
Might be a little on the nose, so maybe tweak it a little bit.
Starry Z.
Oh, there you go. I was gonna say because we also had a part called Stardust Crusaders.
Oh,
I feel like
yeah.
it's a little too much of a reference in both ways.
Yeah. So, I'll be looking forward to part 9 after I read parts 7 and 8.
I gotta binge part 8. I'm planning on doing that once everything's fully complete. I'll find it somewhere and start binging it.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably start part 7 maybe next month sometime.
You'll have to shoot me some like screenshots of stuff just to give me the reminder of, oh shit, that thing, right.
Yeah, but hey, I hope you enjoyed our little musings about part 9. We have a bunch of other stuff here on the channel. Video game playthroughs, anime reviews, random Japanese food videos.
Let's not even talk about the evil chip that you made us have.
Yeah!
You horrible, horrible monster.
The one chip challenge!
The 2020 version of the one chip challenge. The pandemic didn't kill us, but that chip nearly did.
Oh, it did a number to Ryan.
Oh god, he got it the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess until then, before we go, this one will actually be posted a bit out of order, so expect a video about what's wrong with Pokemon coming soon.
Oh yeah, we still need to record the final part of that. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Oh wait, there was a third part?
Well, yeah, I mentioned that afterwards. I wanted to get into like the technicals as far as like the mechanics that the game puts in, or the things that it takes that puts in and rips out, I should say.
Okay, so stay tuned for that sometime. So until then, catch everybody later.
Yeah.